I've already downloaded Unreal Engine 5.8. This map here is running on the latest graphics engine from Epic Games, which is free for you to download. If you haven't downloaded it yet, haven't checked it out, man, download it. It's free for you. And then you only pay some money to Epic Games if you make a lot of money. So it's cool. If you make $1 million, then you'll pay 5% in royalties. And I want to talk in this video about the main new features involving this graphics engine. And as you can see, man, this graphics engine is a beautiful thing. We have several features, including features involving artificial intelligence, which I know, okay, that many people, it's to the dislike of many people, but I want to comment on this because the new features are really incredible. Well, the first point is this map here. Look at what a beautiful map. You must be wondering, okay, but is this from Epic Games? Where did this map come from? This right here, look, is part of a pack from Leartes Studios, which is an incredible studio, okay, for creating 3D assets, creating 3D items, and it's going for $5,400. Not really. And you know, with the discount, it goes for $100. But if you use the coupon that's here in the description, it'll come out to about $45. And that map, which is incredible, and that I'm gonna show the new features of Unreal Engine 5.8 to you, it's part of it. If you notice the price, each of these maps is $150, $200. Anyway, check it out. It's here in the description and in the pinned comment for you. It's on the official Leartes Studios website within Gumroad. You buy it there, download it, and it's yours. Well, right off the bat, I want to talk about the following. One of the main plugins that have already come for you to use within Unreal. Engine 5.8, which is in experimental form, right, which is the MCP, which is basically a way for you to use an external artificial intelligence agent within Unreal Engine. But this right here is a plugin from Epic Games itself. So when you download Unreal Engine 5.8 and install it, you come, search for MCP and activate it, and then you'll configure the AI. Here it has support for Anthropic, which is Claude. So you can have the AI do things for you. Neri, what do you mean? If you come here, look, there are some examples, okay, in the documentation itself, but I thought this example from this channel was really cool. It shows how you can, and then he connected, not using exactly this official connection from Epic Games, because this video is older, but a connection. Anyway, he found his way to connect. There are some ways for you to do some workarounds or for you to get there following some documentation to be able to make this connection, but what Epic Games is doing is making this easy, and, you know, at least easier for you to make the connection. I won't be able to show it here in the video because the point of the video isn't just that. It's several other things, but this is a possibility. So you say you want a city, it goes there and sketches the city for you. Of course, it's a sketch anyway. You'll need to do many things to achieve the result you want. But as you can see, it's surprising because when we talk about the potential of an artificial intelligence to program, it gets improved over time. We know that AIs are getting better. And make no mistake, for those people who get scared and don't understand artificial intelligence, one thing is clear. You need to understand and know how you're going to use artificial intelligence. Because here, it's generating, for example, a city. Man, you're not going to put this in a game. You're not going to put it in an animation just like that. You'll need to know where you're starting from, where you want to go, and how to make this look good. It's just a sketch. It's just a start. But instead of taking a long time to do this, very quickly, you can get a preview with artificial intelligence. So what we're seeing is fantastic. And Tim Sweeney himself has already said that they're implementing it aggressively. In Unreal Engine 6, which will arrive in a year and a half, and I think a year and a half, more or less, is an interesting window for what's coming. So, very cool. What we're being able to see and perceive involving artificial intelligence. In here, they say, look, that it's an experimental plugin that allows the use of artificial intelligence agents. And it's going to connect to the editor. It works like this. Look, you'll have it in the terminal. You'll be talking, right, with the AI through the terminal, or, right, it'll be showing what's being done. So here, they have a very simple example, look, of what to create and what they want for the scene. And the AI goes there and places it. So it's fantastic to see this. Besides that, here on Epic Games' own portal, we have a very detailed roadmap. In which, what are the new features, okay, that came to Unreal Engine 5.8? They include several modifications and performance improvements. And we see several feature improvements that have been worked on, like, for example, megalights. Yeah. For those projects that have many light points, you can get a truly significant performance gain. But regardless of how you handle it and the version, there were some glitch issues and such. It's always a bit annoying to work with things that are new within the graphics engine, but now it's increasingly becoming more robust and improved. They also changed some things. For example, Lumen itself. When you switched the dynamic global illumination to medium, you saw it drop drastically. Basically, it disabled Lumen in a way. And now, here's the old one, right? The old part of this global illumination with Lumen, and now a new one, a new way, right? The medium quality. They're also testing fog screen space scattering here. There are several ways for you in games and in scenarios, 3D, to achieve bypass some things and bring in some higher quality features. And many of them are related to screen space, which means they're fake, so to speak. It uses the camera's position to do certain things. So we have reflections that use, well, they're very old and classic techniques, right? The reflection one, for example. It takes the camera's location to create a reflection that's fake and won't be as expensive. Because what's actually in the camera is usually what matters most to whoever's playing and watching the scene, especially when we're talking about real time. So if you're faking something just from the camera's perspective, it tends to be very cost effective. And the high cost benefit being sought here is precisely with scattering. So you know that effect light creates when there's this fog? Well, that's it. Notice around the lights here, especially in the back, you can clearly see how much this is applied. So you usually get a cool effect without it costing the machine too much. And then there are several other updates that, well, I won't be able to cover them all, but there's blend shape editing, which are facial transformations already assigned to skeletons. There are also improvements involving the control rig for rigging your character and placing them on the map. Animations involving the control rig, which is a very different way to animate and has proven to be quite powerful in recent versions. And there's another detail I'll show you in a bit, I won't forget, and I thought it was really cool, even within the environment itself, okay? I'll show it soon, but I'm looking at some other interesting ones here. For example, another thing they're bringing is the ability to populate the scene more using Metahuman. So there's Metahuman Crowd, right? So in theory, you'll be able to create instances of these characters and then have more on screen without it being too heavy. I'm quite skeptical about this because Metahuman is very heavy. It has many parts, right? Hair, skin, it's completely divided. This tends to cause more draw calls for the GPU, the video card, and ends up making it harder to read the whole scene. But of course, Epic Games is working on it, and the trend is for this to be improved as time goes by. And here, at least from the scene, it seems quite interesting. And it's cool to see this as something that's being implemented and worked on. Not that it'll arrive and be ready for you to use in a fully robust way. And that's why they label it as experimental, right? And you can mark here how important you think this is. And over time, they'll give more or less priority to what's being developed. And they also mention Metahuman Animator is now available for Linux and macOS. They're also working on making it easier to transform any type of mesh into a metahuman, which is their character creation system that's more complete, complex, and incredible. And it's cool, involving 3D character creation currently, and it's free. So this right here is a fantastic tool. Because currently we're a bit limited in the type of character we create, right? Man, sometimes you want to create a character that has a shape that isn't, right? You know? It's humanoid, but I don't know, it's very different, you know? And not here. Here, you can adapt it in a more interesting way. And here it says it's designed for humanoid characters only. So you still won't be able to work with other types of characters, at least for Metahuman. But the fact that they're bringing any type of mesh to Metahuman is fantastic. Really cool indeed. And it's something that, as I say, and like everything else here, Over time, it'll be improved, and many of these things were already available. You could already do this transformation, but over time, it gets more sophisticated. There's several other new features here in character animation, which you can stop and look at calmly, but we have to move on, and there are some new features like mesh terrain. I've already brought a video here to the channel, and it's basically a new way for you to work with mesh, with the terrain, with the landscape. Because now, in Unreal, Engine 5.7, when you come here to selection mode and you're gonna create something, you only have the landscape. You need to come here to Plugins and activate Mesh Terrain Mode. I'm not going to go into details here in this video because I would need to activate, restart, and all that, but I showed it. I'll leave a video here for you to watch. And it's basically the possibility of you working with the terrain as if it were a mesh. You can work in a much more detailed way, much more beautiful, you know? And you can make tunnels more easily. There's much more versatility in this mesh terrain. It's experimental too, but it's how they envision the next way for you to be able to create terrains within Unreal Engine. There are other things here that are interesting, like mass framework, also in that vein of you being able to have more things on the screen happening at the same time, and you being able to render that using multi-core, using more processing, multiple processing of your CPU. So it's very interesting to see this type of development as well. Besides that, there are other little details that will affect those who work with navigation with Unreal Engine, especially in the game creation part, which is the NavMesh preview for a single object. So as you modify an object, you only have the modification of that object in the navigation. Other details here anyway, look, this one is what I wanted to talk about. I'll tell you right now. There are other details for scene rendering, motion capture, but there's a simple detail that I was thinking about on my own. I'll get to it. Right here, look, there are improvements, enhancements involving chaos, which is Unreal Engine's way of doing simulation, right? So there's a vehicle one for destruction, and others, like even for hair and chaos flesh, which is simulation with machine learning for muscles, and here for clothing. Just before I mention the last little thing, I have to remind you too, guys, I talked about artificial intelligence there. And I recently made a video here on the channel. If you haven't watched it yet, go check it out, because I shared several opinions involving artificial intelligence that are important for us to face. Like this, look, you're seeing the amount of things that are necessary for us to understand game creation, for us to understand 3D scene creation, and all of this will continue to exist. And if you don't know how, artificial intelligence won't do it for you. It's illusory the way some people look at this, right? So, for example, I created this whole world here, look, involving artificial intelligence, and I created a course, sharing all this knowledge with the people who follow, right? It's a step-by-step, audio with artificial intelligence, 3D items with AI, how you use prompts, upscaling, how you can correct the 3D items generated by artificial intelligence, how you can correct the audios generated by AI, everything and much more in an incredible series, very complete for you, okay? There's this module and several others. If you want to not just keep repeating some hate speech about artificial intelligence, and I know that AI is complicated, that it has several problems, but like this, look, if there's something happening and you can't change it, you should take the good side of it. And the good side is that it helps. It won't, man. Like this, look, you need to have a lot of knowledge to use artificial intelligence correctly. If you want to learn, there's a link down here in the description for my course, okay? It's very complete, and you'll see how, in fact, you still need to have a lot of knowledge, and how it only assists. And then the last detail, that I was using Unreal Engine a while ago, and man, I use Maya, which is a 3D creation software, and it has a very simple detail, and that I missed a lot here inside Unreal Engine. For example, let's say, and this detail is new here, if you select this 3D item before you needed to be able to change its rotation, I press the E button here, and if you wanted to change this axis here, there was no way. Wait, what do you mean? It didn't have this little ball that's around it. And I saw some people showing it in videos, and I was like, man, but this person doesn't understand what it's for. What actually changed in this gizmo? It's this right here, guys. Look, you have this axis. It wasn't like this before, okay? In Unreal Engine 5.7, you didn't have this. Look, you come here and see how you're changing at this angle, right? No, in the other versions, either you change at this angle or you change at this angle, and then there's this other circle here where you change at this angle, right? But now you can, right between these parts here. Look, select. Wow, this right here is so satisfying, man. Look, for working with 3D animation, this is going to be great too. Because if you're working on a sequence and you want to change something, you can just come here and change it correctly. Look, just the way you want. So now a question came up, which is when you're in there, I don't have enough skeletons. I have one skeleton here to check. When you're in here and you want to change something too, damn, that too. This is awesome, okay? When you want to change an animation, before you only had these axes here, like this or like that. Man, so bad. And now you have the indicator. It already had the indicator, okay, of how much it moved there, how much it's changing, but now there's a little pie chart, that shows how much you've gone over. Besides that, there's a nice indicator of the centimeters, how much it's moving. It's that you have how far away you are. Look, it shows 3 meters, 4 meters from the original spawn. Cool, right? And then they changed a few other little things involving this gizmo here. But nothing that's really life-changing, except for this. This, I really think, is life-changing for sure. This scene is one of the most beautiful I've ever seen in Unreal Engine, no joke. And it's available to you with a huge discount along with several others. This alone costs way more than the pack, okay? And it's for a limited time. Use the coupon in the description to get access to this pack from Leartes Studios, and also, of course, from my course in case you want to. Learn how to use artificial intelligence as a tool to take the ideas in your head and create 3D environments. Onward to Unreal Engine 6, everyone. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's coming. I think some really cool stuff is coming. Unreal Engine 5 is very robust, much more complete than when I first got there, right? It was all broken at the start, especially there in Unreal Engine 5, because these are features that are now maturing. But we'll see that in Unreal Engine 6, they'll come with a lot of stuff that might not be so mature yet, and we'll go through all of that all over again. But whoever wants to, can keep using the mature features that aren't experimental anymore, and then you can create your game, create your scene smoothly. Thanks for watching until the end, okay? See you again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye. I'm out.